Political dynasty during pre-colonial era, Spanish era, American era to Japanese occupation, and post-colonial era.
The leadership of pre-colonial community, the term Datu, refers to the rulers of indigenous peoples in the Philippines, who have been variously described as chiefs, sovereign princes, and monarchs of indigenous peoples in the Philippines. More significantly, village chiefs assert their authority not just on the basis of noble descent but also on the basis of their reputation as a courageous warriors. Relevantly, the Datu's capacity to continue serving as the barangay's head of the government was based on how well he led. He could be replaced by the community with a challenger who is better equipped to meet the demands of the barangay as justified by the circumstances. During the Spanish colonial era, this natural social democratic structure was destroyed. The tribe governing elite served as the local governors under the colonial government's encomienda labor system. Principalia was first used during the Spanish colonial era, when it represented a new class of local aristocracy. After then, the Datu class changed into the principals, and the barangay just became known as Indios in general. The Cabeza, unlike their previous incarnation as Datu, functioned not as a community leader but as a servant of the town's parish priest and constabulary commanding officer. According to Apolinario Mabini, who is regarded as the brains of the revolution against Spain, writing in the Philippine Revolution, the commitment to defend the community was no longer part of the underlying social compact. More significantly, the community's ability to select its own leader has been taken away and placed in the hands of a centralized authority. The ability to lead the community that can be negotiated for, rather than a mandate that must be won. For modern Filipinos, the cruel irony is that it was only after their nation adopted democracy that public office started to be seen as a valuable commodity that could also be traded and used for financial gain. It is the time during American era. More significantly, this was the time when a select few people gained control over the power to rule the nation. The Americans brought with them patronage, politics together with the democratic institutions that the Filipinos now take for granted and are proud of. Past presidents utilized this method to seize total control of the nation from the Malacanang Palace, the seat of government, the very same strategy employed by those who came after them to rise to prominence and by the several political families to maintain their control over their purportedly elective positions for the previous 50 years. Although the Japanese had promised independence for the islands for occupation, they initially organized a council of state through which they can directly civil affairs until October 1943, when they were declared the Philippines an independent republic. Post-colonial era. Post-colonial political theory seeks to articulate alternative modes of theorizing that can better speak to the concerns of justice for the former colonized indigenous peoples and those affected by the neo-imperial features of the current global order.
The Constitution disallows the existence of so-called political dynasties, but for decades, clans have remained in control of politics both in the local and national levels. Linda Humilia tells us more about political dynasties by the numbers.
In almost every election, it's a battle of the same names from the same clans. Political dynasties have always been a part of Philippine politics. Article 2, Section 26 of the 1987 Constitution says the state shall guarantee equal access to opportunities for public service and prohibit political dynasties as may be defined by law. Data from the University of the Philippines' Halalan website show 250 political families have dominated Philippine politics at the national and local level. This represented 0.00001667% of the country's 15 million families. It adds 56% of political dynasties come from old political elites, and 44% emerged after the 1986 EDSA revolution. Of the 80 provinces in the Philippines, 73 or 94% have dynasties. Data would show that 6 presidents will most likely have relatives in the next Senate: Osmeña, Magsaysay, Marcos, Cory Aquino, Estrada, and Noynoy Aquino. 26 years after the 1987 Constitution was ratified, Congress has yet to pass an enabling law prohibiting political dynasties. No surprise here, as such a measure would force many lawmakers and their families to give up their hold to power. Linda Humilia, ABS-CBN News.